A Buckingham Palace source has told the BBC that they accept there may be more days of pain ahead as a result of the scandal surrounding Prince Andrew. The King's engagements this week include a visit to the Vatican. It all comes as the Met Police says it is actively looking into claims that Prince Andrew asked one of his personal protection officers to find out information about his accuser, Virginia Giuffre. Ms Giuffre's posthumous memoir, which the BBC's obtained a copy of, is officially released tomorrow, putting Prince Andrew under more scrutiny. He has consistently denied any wrongdoing. Our correspondent Ellie Price reports.
It's still dominating the front pages, at home and around the world.
After a string of scandals, Prince Andrew is dropping his Duke of York title.
We begin with that breaking news from London, where Prince Andrew will no longer use his royal titles, including Duke of York.
The headlines are taking a lot of oxygen out of the royal room, one source told the BBC. Perhaps a classic example of British understatement, given the ongoing revelations about the King's brother. Despite him relinquishing his honours and titles on Friday, the heat has not gone out of this scandal. Virginia Giuffre's full posthumous memoir, obtained by the BBC in a London bookshop this weekend, describes how she felt she might die a sex slave at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein and his circle. She says she had sex with Prince Andrew on 3 separate occasions, including once with Epstein and approximately 8 other young women. While there are no new claims in the book, it makes for a harrowing read, which paints a picture of a web of rich and powerful people abusing young women. Prince Andrew has consistently denied any wrongdoing and says he doesn't recall meeting Virginia Giuffre. But yesterday, the Metropolitan Police confirmed it was actively looking into reports that Prince Andrew tried to obtain personal information about her through his personal protection team. Her family have called for Andrew to be stripped of his prince status, something echoed by the leader of the Scottish National Party at Westminster, Stephen Flynn, adding to pressure on the government to change the rules to allow it to happen.
At the moment, a title can be given, but it can't be removed. And I expect that is the reason why the Duke of York, or the former Duke of York, says that he will no longer be using that title. However, it doesn't say that he doesn't possess that title. And the removal of titles bill would bring real clarity to that matter, giving more powers to the king. And I think that that would be so timely. And I think this now leads for Parliament to have serious discussions about how it takes this forward.
But it's understood Buckingham Palace has no current plans to remove the Prince title that Andrew was born with. It was business as usual yesterday for the King as he headed to church near his Balmoral estate. The monarch will hope for something of a reset this week as he makes some significant public appearances, including praying with the Pope at the Vatican on Thursday. But as another Buckingham Palace source accepted, there may be more days of pain ahead. Ellie Price, BBC.
Ellie Price reporting there. Well, I'm joined now by royal commentator and former BBC royal correspondent Jenny Bond. Morning, Jenny. Thanks for being with us. The royal family might want to move this on, but do you think that is likely? What are the key questions facing Prince Andrew and the monarch this morning?
No, the headlines aren't going to go away. And I think the palace were probably aware that this storm had some way to go. As you say, there are moves in Parliament. There are the MP from York who definitely wants to bring forward a bill which would give the King the power to strip Andrew of any of the titles completely, not just have him relinquish them. And there's a clamour, I think, amongst the public for more action, maybe to try and take his title of prince away. I think there's a public appetite to see Andrew move out of Royal Lodge. I think with the publication of Virginia's very harrowing, sad book, and we must always remember this isn't really about the royal family as much about the victims of Epstein, including Virginia Giuffre. And with the publication tomorrow, even though the BBC and others have seen it already, this is going to go on.
And the government this morning, ministers saying they don't particularly want to get involved. But does that just look like a bit of a, an establishment cover-up, to put it in rather bold terms, if the government and the royal family don't take stronger action? For example, publishing the lease on the Royal Lodge and, for example, allowing a private member's bill on stripping Andrew of all titles.
Yes, they're saying there is a move for that, and we may see that happen. As far as we know, this lease is pretty cast iron. He has a 75-year lease. If he can pay for the upkeep of Royal Lodge, then, and he must have money. I mean, you know, he's the son of a monarch. He must have money. He can go on living there. Will he want to? I really don't know. But the other developments I think we should pay attention to is the fact that the Metropolitan Police are looking into the allegations that Andrew secured somehow the social security number of Virginia Roberts, as she was then, Virginia Giuffre, she became, and passed that on to the deputy press secretary of the late Queen. In order to, he obtained this, it would seem, in order to try to smear Virginia's name, the name of a woman he claims he had never met. Now, this strikes me as extremely serious and draws the palace perilously close to what was going on those years ago. What did they know about Andrew and his activities, and why didn't they do something about it? Those are the questions which are now being asked.
And does Andrew potentially, do you think, face some sort of charges here with this police investigation into how he behaved in public office and in relation to his own personal protection officer? And should the royal family also publish whatever Andrew's sources of income are?
Yes, I think that would go down very well with the public. His personal protection officer, yes, there's no suggestion that that officer did do anything with the information given to him allegedly by Andrew, the social security number, the date of birth. But to use your personal protection officer in that way, as Ed Miliband said yesterday, is absolutely wrong. That is not what they are. They are there for close personal protection of the principal. They are not there to do some research, to act as a private investigator. So his behaviour there, if true, is extremely questionable. What his purpose was in obtaining someone's social security number, well, that could to a criminal investigation. I don't know if it would, though. Just
finally, Jenny, having observed these people for a very long time, you mentioned questions around what they knew about Andrew's behaviour. Do you think it is plausible that they were unaware of what he was doing?
I think the family themselves probably were unaware. A deputy press secretary probably would have handled this off his own bat. I don't know. I think he may be asked to explain what went on. I think the family themselves must just be in despair that all their good works keep being obliterated by lurid headlines about Andrew. And I think William remains full of resentment and anger about the disrepute that his uncle is bringing the whole of the family into.
Jenny Bond, thank you very much. Well, I'm joined now by our correspondent Helena Wilkinson, who's outside Windsor Castle. Helena, what are the key questions this morning for the royal family and the government on this?
Well, there are lots of questions that remain unanswered. There is still some pressure for Prince Andrew to be stripped of the Prince title. There's also questions that remain about where he lives. We are in Windsor because this is where Prince Andrew lives. He lives in a 30-room mansion in Windsor Great Park, not too far away, about 3 miles away or so from the castle. Now, he does have a private tenancy agreement, and that lasts until 2078. And so as long as Prince Andrew can continue to pay the bills, then he doesn't have to leave, and it's likely that he will want to remain there. But there is continued pressure on him, and the allegations keep emerging. And we have a copy of the posthumous memoir that we've been talking about this morning, Nobody's Girl, by Virginia Roberts Giuffre. The BBC managed to get a copy yesterday in a London bookshop. They were selling it ahead of the official release date of the book, and it does make for harrowing reading. In the book, in the memoir, Virginia Giuffre talks about her experience, what she was put through by Jeffrey Epstein and his circle. She talks about how she feared that she might die a sex slave at the hands of Epstein. In the memoir, Virginia Giuffre also mentions the BBC Newsnight interview, that infamous interview nearly 6 years ago, and she says in the memoir that Prince Andrew failed to communicate any sympathy for Epstein's victims. She also touches as well in the memoir about that 2022 out-of-court settlement. You'll remember she took civil action against Prince Andrew. She says that she agreed to a 1-year gag order, which seemed important to the prince, she says in her memoir, because it ensured that his mother's platinum jubilee would not be tarnished any more than it already had been. So Prince Andrew, as we know, on Friday gave up his titles, although there would have been intense pressure on him to do so, discussions he had with the king and the immediate family. So giving up his titles and honours, the royal family, in particular the king, trying to detach and separate as much as possible from Prince Andrew in terms of his royal connections, and hoping that that would draw a line under it. But as we've seen over the weekend and today, I mean today Prince Andrew on the front pages of many of the newspapers here in the UK. The allegations just keep emerging. Important to say that Prince Andrew denies all the allegations against him.
Helena Wilkinson, thank you very much. Well, if you want to read more about this, you can see what's in Virginia Giuffre's posthumous memoir, Nobody's Girl, which the BBC, as we've been hearing, has obtained a copy ahead of its publication tomorrow. It's on the BBC News website or the app.